Hello and welcome to Techiechap. In today's episode, I will be showing you how in FreeBSD you can go from here to here. To find out more, join me after the intro. Alright, so this is my current desktop, and as you can see it looks fairly modern. I'm running XFCE 4.16, and what we're going to be doing is I will launch a VirtualBox instance, and essentially we will be setting up from scratch or trying to replicate this desktop within the VirtualBox instance. So let's switch over to the VirtualBox. So we are logging in now, and I'm just going to use my Techiechap login. I would say when you are setting up your user within FreeBSD during the initial setup that you should set up your user to be a member of wheel, operator and video as a bare minimum. Those are the secondary groups when you're setting up your user. I've just changed over to the root login, and that will enable me to install stuff. As you can see, my machine's called Techiechap. And what we will do now is we will use the package tool to install the necessary things to get us initially up and running in a XFCE environment. Okay, so there are three items we're going to install using the pkg install tool, and that's pkg install xorg, XFCE and Firefox. So Xorg is your basic X Windows system, and that's required for FreeBSD. It doesn't come included, and that's your graphical user interface. It comes by default with something called TWM or Tom's Window Manager, and it's a really basic window manager. Then we install XFCE, and by just typing XFCE, that will go off and grab the latest XFCE desktop environment for FreeBSD from the FreeBSD repository. You can also install XFCE goodies, which we will do as well, and that will essentially give us a few more tools like screenshot tools and things like that within the XFCE desktop environment, so it's not quite so basic. And of course Firefox for your internet browser, so that we can get out onto the internet and we can start customizing our XFCE environment. So anyway, this is going to be going off and fetching these files and installing them. It's about 3 gigabytes of files, and it will take some time. So what we will do is we will skip to the end and reboot, and let's see how it goes after that. Right, so as this approaches the finish of this installation, I'm going to be modifying a configuration file and creating a configuration file. There are 3 main configuration files within FreeBSD that you really can accomplish quite a lot with, and this is one of the things that I find really good about FreeBSD, is by understanding these 3 configuration files you really can get a really good feel for your system and really customize it to the way you want it to be. So the first one is rc.conf, and we're going to be modifying that shortly. The second one is loader.conf, and that is /boot/loader.conf, and those are things that are loaded up on startup. And then the third one is sysctl, that's runtime system parameters. So if you're aware of those 3 files, then you really can do quite a lot with FreeBSD, and I think that's great that it's just 3 files that you can modify to get such a lot done within FreeBSD. So let's go ahead and modify rc.conf, which is running configuration. I'm using EE, but EE is really just a symlink for edit, and you can use EE or edit to edit this file. And what I also like about these configuration files is you can add your own modifications and your own tweaks. And what I like to do is to put a hashtag in and give it a title so that I can remind myself that I've added this configuration in. This hasn't been added in by the system. If I can just find the hashtag within this virtual machine. There we go. I'm going to give this a title just to remind myself. If I look at rcconf in the future, I can remind myself that, oh, I've added that in. And you can do that whatever way you want to. I'm just going to add a random title for this example, just call it extras. And the first thing I'm adding is dbus_enable, and I'm going to say dbus_enable equals yes. And the reason why I'm adding that is dbus is used by the GUI to interface with the hardware, and without that the GUI can't talk properly to the hardware. And the reason why it's not included in FreeBSD by default is because FreeBSD, of course, doesn't come with a GUI. I'm also adding HALD enable. I'm not sure if that's needed or not, but that's the hardware abstraction layer database. It keeps a database of hardware connected and hardware being used. The last one there is moused_enable. And that's just for the mouse to work in your console. So now we're going to create the xinit_rc. So again, I've used EE to create this file. You could use edit if you so wish. And what this does is it tells the X Windows system what to use as its desktop environment or its window manager. And you do that by typing in there exec space XFCE4-session. Right, so let's use the classic Unix command to reboot the system, and that's init6. And we're going to now reboot, and let's see if this XFCE desktop is now working. So FreeBSD is booting up. That all looks good. It shouldn't take very long for it to actually get to the login prompt here. It's just going to grab its IP address, and there we are. So I'm just going to log in now as myself, Techiechap, pop in my password, and we'll just clear that screen. That's just kind of the message of the day, but as you can see, I'm running FreeBSD 13.1 there. Okay, start X. That starts the X Windows system. That will now initialize the xinit_rc that we created earlier. xinit_rc, that .xinit_rc has in there start XFCE4 session. And there we are. We have the XFCE window manager running, XFCE desktop environment running. That's great. I'm glad that's all worked. Fantastic. But as you can see, it's looking really basic, but we do have Firefox installed, as we picked that when we did the initial installation earlier. So if we just click on About Firefox, you can see we are running the most recent version of Firefox there, which is 1.05. Fantastic. I'll just close that down. But you can see that whilst usable, it's looking very basic. So let's crack on and make some modifications to this to make this look a bit nicer. Okay, so I've upped the resolution a bit in this virtual machine, and just so that we can see what we're doing a little bit more clearly. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the icons. And the way you install icons within XFCE is actually fairly straightforward. The icon theme that I'm using is something called Cora. So we're just going to go to gnomelook.org, and if we just click on rating here, let's just open that up. Just click on rating there. And we are looking for Cora, so I might need to search for it up here. Cora. There we go. Okay. So as you can see, the Cora icon theme I've picked because I feel it's quite modern and it looks really nice in my opinion. But obviously you can pick your own icon theme. If you wanted to have a look, you can always go to places like gnomelook.org, as you can see there, and they have, well, thousands of icon themes you can pick from. My suggestion is to pick the high rating ones because they tend to be the most complete icon sets. As you can see, this one's a 9.3 rating. Then all we do is we go to files and we download the zip file. So all we do is we click on download 14.89 megabytes. That will go off and download. You can see the progress bar there, and it's downloaded. Now what I tend to do, and what actually I've done already on here, is I've created a folder on here already called themes, but you could call it anything you like. You just right click and create a folder. You could call it icons or whatever you want to call it. And I've dropped that Cora 1-5-3.zip into the themes folder. Okay, and to tell the system to use that Cora icon theme, we go to settings and we go to accessories, settings and appearance. Whilst I'm here, I'm just going to switch to Greybird Dark because I think that's what I'm using on my theme set. We go to icons. As you can see, I have actually already added the Cora icon theme, but all you do is you click on add and you click on your zip file there. Actually, I'm going to do it from the themes folder. Click on the zip file, click on open, and it will go off and install all the Cora icons for you. That's all you need to do. You download the zip, click on add, select your zip, and then open, and it will install it for you. Very, very straightforward. So let's change those icons, and you can see it does it straight away. Immediately we get the nice hard drive icon, the nice home button. It all looks starting to look pretty neat already. Okay, so that's with the icon theme installed. What I like to do now is to remove the default XFCE panel down here. It's nothing too wrong with it. It's just not very modifiable, and it's got these sharp edges on it. It looks a little bit basic. So the way we do that isn't immediately straightforward, but you go into panel preferences and you see this panel 2 here, because these are all classed as panels. This is panel 2. All we do is we click minus and remove, and that's that panel gone. And then we can just click close. So now the panel has gone. Already we're making a good way into making this system look like the system you saw earlier. But what we do need to do is to install something called Plank. And what Plank does is it is another docs type system. But it's just a little bit more customizable and looks a little bit better. So what we will do now is we will go into System, XFCE Terminal, and we'll use the package tool. Actually, we'll do a search. Again, one of the things I really like about FreeBSD is how straightforward the language is. Package search seems really straightforward to me and really understandable. So I'm just going to do a search for package search Plank. There we go. So Plank is available, and I'm going to install Plank. There we go. Always remember to elevate your privileges before you do that, because you won't be able to install anything unless you elevate. Right. Okay. Package install Plank. There we go. And actually I've already installed it as well, so but that's how you go about installing Plank. But how do you go about starting it up? So we will just close that terminal down. All right, and let's just have a look and see where it is. It's in accessories. Just click on Plank. So we will just start Plank, and there it is. It looks very, very basic at the moment, but what we will do is go into Plank preferences. Now this bit's a little bit tricky because what you right click on the dock to get Plank preferences, and you kind of have to click really close to the edge to get it. There we go. That's it there. That's what it looks like. Okay, and then we click on preferences and we can choose different themes. So the GTK plus theme is what I use, and what I do tend to do is put it on the right hand side. I just find it easier to get to on the right hand side, and it's a little bit different because I like things to be a little bit different. Right, so what you will see here, or some of the more observant among you may see a line down here, which is quite irritating, and that's to do with shadows. So the way we correct that is settings and appearance, settings. Sorry, that's not the way to do it at all. Settings manager. Right, Windows Manager tweaks. Okay, compositor. Okay, and show shadows under dock windows. Now keep your eye on that line on the right hand side. There it is. Show shadows under dock windows. Bosh, it's gone. And that's all you need to do. Right, so that's that done. Fab. Right, okay, so we're almost there. We're almost at the point of getting to a nice looking desktop, modern looking desktop. So the other things you want to do is to add some applications into your dock that you would use a lot. So terminal, if you're using FreeBSD, is going to be one of those. So all you do is you right click, keep that in the dock, and when I close it, it's there. And if I want to move it around, I can just drag and drop it like this. There we go, and so on. Right, so we have mousepad already installed. Let's just launch this. This is our file manager. We'll keep that in the dock as well. Keep in dock, and we'll close that. And again, I'm just going to drag these around like this. There we go. All right, so you can see it is starting to look a lot like the desktop I showed you earlier. There we go. We'll just pop that between those two. And actually using this theme means it's a lot easier to click on the edge of the dock to get to the preferences if you want to change anything as well. So all that really remains is the mountain theme. So we're going to launch the browser again, the Firefox browser, and what we are going to do is we are going to look for a mountain. Mountain wallpaper, and it really is as simple as that. So all I do in here is type mountain full HD wallpaper. There we go. Okay, and let's just expand that out so you can see that. We'll do a Google image search, and literally you can pick whatever mountain scheme you want. This is the one that I've got, and I think it looks quite nice, particularly with a darker scheme. If I click on visit, mountain wallpapers, and there it is, Earth Mountain. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to download that. Easy as that. Okay, now because I've downloaded that, I'm just going to copy that and put that into the themes folder I created earlier. And I'm going to paste that. Great. All right, so we'll close that down. Okay, let's get this desktop changed. So, applications, settings, settings manager, appearance. Sorry, not appearance at all. What am I like? There we go. Desktop, rather. Okay, and we are going to, so there's wallpaper for my desktop. You get the default XFCE ones. If I click on my, let's see, click on other. Okay, and then I click on my themes folder and just click on open. And bingo, there we are. That is the mountain theme. Right, okay, and what I'm going to do now is just add things like the trash can on the dock bar. So you go to docklets and we're going to add the trash can, double click for the desktop as well so we can show our desktop quickly, and that's all I'm going to do for the time being. I don't really want to replicate what's up here with what's in the dock essentially, but as you can see it's a lot easier to click on the dock preferences with this theme because you have slightly wider edges there. But this can be modified quite a lot. You can modify the icon size, you can change the icon zoom for when you hover over things. So if I just click on that, there you go. So you get that Mac effect, sort of things expanding, nice animation. Behavior, so you've got this IntelliHide as well. So that's all great. That really is it, to be honest. That's pretty much it. These icons, if we just go to desktop settings, menu icons, yes. So what we're going to do is just take these icons off now, and we'll just leave removable devices because I want my removable devices to appear on the desktop when I plug them in so that I can access them quickly. Right, so there we are, and now it's a bit confusing for me because I've got this running in a virtual box and I've got an identical physical machine behind it. So it's a little bit confusing for me, but this is pretty much a replica of my desktop. Let me show you a couple of other bits just to wrap things up. So if you click on the panel at the top here, and if you go to panel, then add new items, you do have some nice little widgets that you can add into the panel. So we've got here things like separators, application menu, you can add extra clock. Yeah, there's some nice little panel widgets that you can choose from here by right clicking, and then you can add those to the panel. Also, it would be advisable to install some other applications as well because you've got a fairly basic set of applications in here right now. So for example, you don't have a zip tool. So one of the best zip tools I know of in FreeBSD world is something called ngrampa. So remember to elevate your privileges. Okay, and you said my password then. And we're just going to do a search for this package tool. Make sure I'm spelling it correctly, which I probably am not. Let's have a look. No, maybe it's EM. Oh, there's no P in it, that's why. in Grandpa. There it is. Always good to search for it first before you get disappointed that you can't find it, can't install it. There we go. That's where the search tool comes in handy. Package install in Grandpa. And then Grandpa's a really good zip tool for opening up those zip files and extracting them. Really easy to use. You are also going to want to install other bits like VLC. I think VLC, it might, no, it's not, it doesn't come by default, so you don't get VLC by default. So we're just going to install VLC, package install VLC. It is really easy to install stuff with the PKG tool, as you can see. This will go off and fetch the files, and one of the other bits you will notice as well is there is no volume icon up here, and what you will need to install is Pulse Audio. So we'll just do a search for package search Pulse. There it is, Pulse Audio. Okay, Pulse Audio, and you just install Pulse Audio. You've got to bear in mind that you are building a system really from scratch, and so there are things that perhaps you would expect within a desktop environment that might not necessarily be there. So there are things like Pulse Audio, for example, that aren't included by default, because you might want to choose a different audio manager. So in my case, I'm choosing Pulse Audio because kind of that's what I know at the moment. My ideas might change in the future, but that kind of works for me in this current setup. So I've installed Pulse Audio there, and you could see again that it was very easy to do within the package management tool. Okay, and whilst we're here, we will do a search for those XFCE4 goodies. So XFCE4 dash goodies, I think it's called. There it is. So I just take out search, put in install, and that will give me the extra packages there, things like weather, extra whisker menu, some more themes, some notes plugins and things like that. So we'll just say yes to that. That's going to go off and install all of those. I may need to log out of XFCE and to log back in once these are all installed. So that may be something I will need to do, given I'm installing all of these add-ins and plugins. Started, I've logged in, I've typed StartX, and that's brought me back into my XFCE desktop. Let's just check that those XFCE4 goodies have actually installed. So if I click on panel, right click on the top here, add new items, and if I just scroll down, I can see immediately we've got CPU graph there. We have some extra new bits like network monitor, which is the thing I have running in my top panel as well. We also have system load monitor. You've got weather update, whisker menu. Yeah, quite a few extra little bits and pieces that you can add on to your desktop. So as promised, there we are, from almost beginning to the end, from the terminal to the GUI. We've got a complete XFCE 4.16 build here, and it's running very nicely on a virtual machine. There you go, XFCE 4.16 running on FreeBSD 13.1. There we are, that's FreeBSD 13.1 being fully built up, from the console all the way to a fully fledged desktop environment in XFCE 4.16. Hopefully that's inspired you to have a go yourself. If you've enjoyed watching this video, then please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching.